This is the Sons of UCF, the number one place for UCF sports, with your distinguished hosts, Adam.
What was your reaction when you got notified that you were going to be a Hall of Famer? How does that sound to you, Coach O'Leary, Hall of Famer?
Yeah, I'm inducted into a number of Hall of Fame.
And Mike.
I don't know if you know this, but I won the 5K race that we did a couple weeks ago.
Now, here are the guys.
Hi there. That's right. This is the Sons of UCF podcast. We are on episode number 156. Thank you all for listening in. Of course, as always, my name is Adam, and with me again for yet another week, my friend and yours, Mr. UCF Mike. Mike, greetings, my friend. Rough weekend in UCF land. How you feeling, buddy?
Inebriated.
Okay.
I feel okay. We had a big fiesta here at the UCF Mike House last night.
Okay.
And I have a lot of leftover beers, and I've been cracking into them so far all day today. So I'm ready to do this show because I needed a bunch of those beers after that performance on the football field yesterday afternoon.
Yeah.
At least the basketball team looks okay, so some saving grace at least.
A lot of things to get into, Mike. Let's do a quick little rundown of what you can expect this evening. Cow of the week, Mike's picks. We will go through the basketball week that was. UCF starts off 2-0, which is fantastic. UCF Observations will be back, and we'll do, of course, our game breakdown of the debacle at SMU, 55-28, SMU the winner on that. So all that coming up here, Mike. But again, thanks to everyone for tuning in. Make sure you always follow us on social media. You can find us at Sons of UCF pretty much anywhere you do social media type stuff. That's Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. Make sure you follow our website, twonightsmedia.com. Mike is at UCF Mike1. Trace is at SignPez. And our live show is on Thursday on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. That's all the good stuff we have going on. If you like what we do around here, and I'm not sure why you wouldn't, make sure you go to any one of those sites and do one of those rating deals. 5 stars will certainly make us happy. Make us happier than UCF made us on Saturday, Mike. 55-28. We knew going into this thing that SMU was a good team. They had a good offense. UCF started off okay. We had a couple of nice little turnover on down, and then a nice INT, and maybe you thought that this was going to go our way, and then quickly it went off the rails, Mike, 55-28. What's your first initial thoughts on the SMU debacle?
Yeah, that start was fool's gold if I've ever seen it. We get gifted 2 short fields to put it in for 2 touchdowns, which is what I said we needed to do. When given the opportunity, we needed to take advantage of those things. We did that early, got points on the board, but boy, the defense was absolutely horrendous. We could not stop SMU at all. They did whatever they wanted to us. And that 7-point lead twice was shortly lived, and they basically dominated us the entire game. Nothing really good to say about this performance on Saturday other than it's over.
Yeah, I mean, once the dust settled, and I think SMU settled in after those early miscues, both on the 4th down, which was a nice play by UCF, by the way, and then the INT by Bethune, everything kind of went downhill after that, Mike. A couple of notables in the game. We did not see Joey Gatewood. We learned that he's injured. Don't know what that injury is about. Bryson Armstrong went off the field. He was injured. I don't think he came back in. We saw JJB go out again. Then he was ejected, but it looked like he was injured before the ejection, so don't know what his status is. So, Mike, the injuries continue to pile up for UCF. Aren't we excited?
Oh, yeah. Something we've been plagued with probably more than anybody in the country, and to the key players and to our coach.
Yes.
We saw this week our coach is not even able to stand on the sidelines. I've never seen a team get this many injuries at once. It's kind of been laughable what's happened to our team this year.
Platform Gus was in the building. Isaiah Bowser was in the building, did not play. Dylan Gabriel did not play. Jalen Robinson did get out on the field, Mike. He did play a little bit. So you're starting to see some of these guys sprinkle their way back in, but it seems like the hits just keep coming. Obviously, at this point, UCF is now completely eliminated from any option of going to the American Conference Championship game. Whatever slim choice we had maybe to crack that, that seems to have now fallen by the wayside. So we will kind of wait and see what happens next. Obviously, what happens next is we welcome UConn to town. The civil conflict is reignited, Mike, and we'll get into that a little bit more, Mike. But let's go through categories here. Obviously, a rough Saturday. We break down the game each week on the show. What we do is typically we pick some things we like, didn't like, and we break them down by a category based on our previous bowl, either wins or losses, on the good and the bad side. Mike, you always lead off on this thing, so I'm not sure if you have anything positive this week, but I'll let you start off and see what you got here. Surprise me.
All right, a Boca Bowl. No
that's not good.
surprises here.
That's not good, no.
The defense, all around. I already kind of touched on it. The tackling in specific. But SMU, I told you, they did whatever they wanted. 36 first downs these guys got on us. 241 yards on the ground. 390 in the air. That adds up to 631 yards total we gave up. We gave up almost 250 yards in the first quarter. They were on pace for 1,000 yards at one point in this game. And it looked like they were going to get there, to be honest.
You're not wrong.
They ran 94 plays on us, converted 13 of 20 on third downs. It was atrocious. And the tackling, I've never seen it so bad. The 56-yard touchdown run by Bentley to tie the game at 14. There were a bunch of missed tackles on there. That should have been like a 7-yard run at most. Instead, 56 yards to the house. The tackling, that's just fundamental football, man. That's day one, Pop Warner stuff. We're not wrapping guys up. Justin Hodges, trying to just shoulder guys down. This guy weighs, 130 pounds soaking wet? He can't knock over my 7-year-old daughter. Dude, just wrap it up. Wrap somebody up and tackle them the way you're supposed to. This was nauseating to watch on Saturday. I couldn't stand it.
I've always wondered what the soaking wet weight really means to somebody, but you're right. The defense was not good, and it continues the home and road woes, if you will. Obviously, we have not played well on the road, and that continues this year. We'll end up with just one measly road victory on the year. And that was a Temple team that looked pretty bad. And it's a tale of two defenses, Mike. At home, we've been playing well, but makes you wonder how bad was Temple, how bad was Tulane, how bad was Memphis? Because to your point, SMU got whatever they wanted, whenever they wanted, however they wanted it. We made Tanner Mordecai look like the second coming of Patrick Mahomes out there. It was ugly from the start, and it just looked like we didn't have a lot of fight in us. I don't know what the deal was. It just looked like after they start to kind of chip away, it seemed like we just kind of folded. I don't know if it was that artificial turf, Mike. We don't do well on that turf. Maybe the defense is impacted, but you're right. Wasn't a spark. Anytime we blitzed, and T. Will, I mean, I'll give him some credit. He tried to dial up some blitzes, try to make things tough on Mordecai. But I mean, they just tore us apart. Anytime we blitzed, there was a guy running wide open, and after a while, you could tell T. Will had to back off the blitz, and then we weren't getting any pressure, and then we weren't making any tackles, and before you knew it, Mike, it's 55-28. So the defense just did not have any answers. Whatever SMU wanted, they got. We had no way of stopping them, and it was pretty freaking frustrating to watch throughout the day.
Yeah, we got to be honest with ourselves. This defense is not as good as we thought they were the last few weeks. Remember, we played Memphis. They were playing with a backup quarterback that didn't know they was playing until about 10 minutes before the game. Temple is probably the worst team in the country. They're just complete garbage. They can't score on anybody, so us shutting them down wasn't saying much. Tulane, I guess, was a decent performance. Other than that, anytime we played a team with a pulse on offense, this defense has not answered the bell. The offense, we know the struggles there. We're just not a good team this year. I mean, I know the injuries had a big part of that, but it is what it is, man. This is not a good football team.
Yeah, we're definitely not a deep team, and I think that's to your point. That's where we get challenged. If we had our entire starting 11 on both sides, maybe the story would be different. But we're just not. We're not deep enough to be able to impact these things. God love the guy, Mike, because he's a great dude, a great representative for UCF. But John Powell was playing linebacker in the second half. Quaden Mosier got in there after a while because Armstrong was out and JJB was out. So we just don't have the depth. Where John Powell, who's typically a defensive back, now he's coming in there playing linebacker. He had like eight tackles, so I'll give him that. But clearly
leading tackler. Right?
Yeah, clearly the depth just isn't where it needs to be on a lot of sides of the ball, and it continues to show week after week, Mike. So the defense, I don't know what else I can add to this. You guys all saw the game. You saw how bad the defense was, and again, whether that was T. Will just trying to figure out, hey, we gotta get some confusion going here. We got to see if we can, mix things up, and we got to see if we can put some pressure on SMU. Clearly, that was not going to work. But I don't care what defense he designed. You can have the 2000 Baltimore Ravens out there, and if you can't tackle anybody, it's not going to matter. And that tackling was certainly hot garbage throughout the entire game. I'm a little less inebriated than you are, but even I know that tackling was just hot garbage.
I think the comment of the week was J.P. Gilbert saying that T-Will needs to come up with a new rap song about tackling or something. Maybe that'll get these guys maybe tackling more in a form. It was just a pathetic performance we put out there. I want to erase it from my brain.
All right, well, don't erase it too soon because we got 2 more categories to go here for yourself, Mike. I'm going to go with my first category. I'm also going to give out a Boca. And this is the episode where I start calling people out, Mike. I typically try not to call kids out. They're trying hard. I'm sure there's a lot of stuff going on that we don't know about. But this is the episode I start calling people out, Mike. Devad Wilson gets a Boca. His first half, I mean, he probably missed 4 tackles himself. He had one option. I think it was that Bentley run where it looked like he just kind of reached his arm out and hoped maybe, his fingernail would push Bentley over, and Bentley just kind of threw him to the ground. He was out of position on a few different plays as well. He just did not have a really good first half. I think he had a penalty call on him too as well. For a hit or something out of bounds. So Devad Wilson did not have a great first half. He ended up rotating out a ton in the second. Not sure if that was to preserve guys or if that was performance-based, but out of 94 defensive snaps, he only played about 60. Mike only had 2 tackles. His Pro Football Focus grade was 56.3. Not that that's the end-all, be-all, but 56.3. And I got to say, Mike, we thought Devad was going to be a big playmaker for us on that back end. We thought he was going to be shades of, Kyle Gibson and Richie Grant and maybe Aaron Robinson even. And while he's played okay, I think he's 4th on the team with tackles right now with 49, 1 interception. What's his signature play so far this year? I don't know that he's kind of stepped up. I would think at this point, and maybe this is a hot take, I think Quadric Bullage probably played a little bit more consistently at the safety spot, made bigger plays this year so far than Devad Wilson has. So, maybe I'm missing something in the tape. Maybe he's doing the little things well, but in this particular ball game, Mike, he just did not bring it, especially in that first half. So, hate to call guys out, but I just did. Devad Wilson gets a Boca.
He stood out to me weeks ago as a guy that wasn't doing the job. I think when we were doing the live show against Memphis, when we were doing the Twitter Spaces, I pointed it out to those that were listening then as one of those guys where he looks great coming off the bus. The guy is in phenomenal shape. You see him in hour time and this and that. One of those looks like Tarzan, plays like Jane types of guys where he just is not doing it on the field. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. But he's getting beat. He's not tackling. What else is there? Those are your 2 jobs as a safety and a defensive back. Don't get burned, which he's getting burned, and make tackles, which he's not doing. So, last year it looked like he was going to do something. When he came in the limited time we saw him towards the end of last season, he looked like he might be a player. But so far this year, he has showed us nothing.
And I believe he's playing, I think this is a new position for him. I think he was a cornerback by trade, so he's learning something new. So I get there's a learning curve. I get there's a learning curve on T-Will's defense, but we're 10 games in at this point, Mike. And, he's supposed to be, a self-proclaimed, and I think the guys look up to him too, by the way, but he's a leader in the defense. And, not that he was the only one out there missing tackles, but, you want to see who had the fight, who had the ability to kind of step up and make some plays. And to your point, for a guy who certainly has a lot of confidence in himself, you just didn't see a lot of those plays. And maybe he's going to turn it around in the last couple of weeks of the season, Mike. Maybe next season he's going to put it all together. I don't know. But against SMU, he definitely looked like he was out of position, looked like he just was out of sorts. And obviously, again, not the only one. And we certainly probably still would have lost if he had made those 3 tackles. But nonetheless, Devad Wilson, hate to do it to you, my friend. You get a Boca.
Well deserved. I got a couple more Bocas to give out.
Take your time. Go ahead.
All right. The passing game. The passing game overall. Mikey Keene, 18 for 35, only 174 yards. His leading receiver was Jalen Robinson. Welcome back, yards-wise anyway. He had 50 yards. That's our top receiver with 50 yards on 2 catches. You got Ucf and Johnny each with 5 catches. Only 44 yards for Ucf, 13 yards for Johnny Richardson. And the drop passes continue to be a problem with this whole group. Dropping passes every single week. Sometimes Mikey's dropping nice passes in, and these guys are just not holding on to it. We heard from the SMU insider on the live show on Thursday. We even talked to Stephen Ulmer, the guy that breaks down the film when we were doing the spaces on the basketball game. And every one of these guys is saying that the SMU secondary was very vulnerable coming into this game. Not a strong unit. If any way we can burn these guys, we would be able to do it. And we couldn't take advantage of their secondary. Just a poor performance overall. We desperately need Dylan Gabriel back. I know Mikey's done what he can do as a true freshman. It's been almost the whole season now he's gotten to play. I can't say he's been overly impressive. He's done what he has to do. He takes care of the ball most of the time, but it's just not the same offense without Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah, you see flashes. I think Nick Patty said it well on the live show this week. You see flashes of times where he makes a great read, he makes a great throw, and things look great. And then there are some times where you remember he's a true freshman. And I don't know if this is anecdotal, Mike, or this is just, my bad vision. But I feel like every time that he has to escape out of the pocket, he runs to the right-hand side, nothing good ever comes of that. Either he's going to do something like he did this game against SMU, which is get an intentional grounding. He's going to throw the football away. He's going to throw it into tight coverage. And luckily, he hasn't made a ton of picks on that one, but it seems like he locks in on a read. That read's not there. He gets kind of flushed out, or the line doesn't give him enough time. He's flushed out to the right, and before you know it, we're already going to be behind the chain. So you see some things that every now and again you go, okay, he's getting it, he's picking it up, and then he takes like a step back. So certainly has been a bit of a roller coaster just in terms of consistency in the passing game. And even the receiver side, I mean, Ryan O'Keefe is getting targeted a ton, but a lot of his targets are coming behind the line of scrimmage, which I get he's a playmaker, and you want to get him in space and get him some of those tunnel screens and whatnot. I understand that part of it, but he got 9 targets. Then Johnny Richardson had 5, Jalen with 4, Amari Johnson had 2, and those were largely garbage time targets. Holler had 2, Brandon Johnson had 8. So. I mean, we just haven't had a lot of a connectivity there between quarterback and receiver. I don't know where you put that blame, Mike. Is it on Mikey Keene? Is it on the receivers? Is it on play calling? Is it on coaching? I don't know where you stick that blame, but it seems like it just hasn't clicked yet. And you see some things that make you think it's going to, and then all of a sudden it kind of takes a step back. So whether or not that can continue to get corrected, how Mikey on the offense kind of reformat themselves here over the next couple of games. If he's in there, what this means to next year, I think that's a lot of unanswered questions right now.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of everything. Obviously, Mikey is a freshman, not as developed as what we've been used to with Dylan Gabriel and Mackenzie Milton. We've been spoiled the last few years. But the receivers too, man. This is supposed to be a veteran group of receivers. Brandon Johnson, Jalen Robinson, these guys have been around for a while. To drop the amount of passes that we see dropped, and it's gone back to last year. We had a lot of issues with drop passes. This is not just a 1-week thing. This has happened over and over this year. Can't have that. Some of these passes you got to have. I mean, he's putting them in good spots. You got to help the kid out. But overall, the passing game has been disappointing. Under 200 yards again. It's been a few games this year where we can't even throw for 200 yards when we've been used to throwing for over like 350 on a regular basis the last couple of years.
Yeah, Brandon Johnson was targeted 8 times, Mike, and he's obviously been a big receiver for this year. Targeted 8 times, only 1 catch. Now, he had one. I think he got robbed on the one on the sideline. I think he ended up actually catching that ball that they called incomplete. But 8 targets, only 1 reception. And again, was that on him? Is that defense? Is that Mikey just not putting the ball in the right spot? Either way, you'd hope week over week you'd start to see that growth and that maturation. And again, it shows up in flashes, but again, he's still a true freshman. And a lot of people are doing that thing where they're going, well, I remember Mackenzie Milton as a freshman. I mean, I think we need to pump the brakes on comparing Mackenzie Milton and Mikey Keene. I mean, I think a lot of runway still needs to be driven down before we can adequately do that part of it. But it's not unfair to say the passing game just has not been clicking. And unfortunately, when the running game is down, which it has been a little bit without Isaiah Bowser, then we become an offense with nowhere to turn. And that's how you get 55-28.
Yeah, we can't say that because Mackenzie Milton did this his freshman year. He came back his sophomore year. His sophomore year was one of the best college football seasons you'll ever see. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't mean Mikey Keene's going to be it's capable of doing that next year because he looks kind of like him in his freshman year. And actually, we saw more out of Mackenzie his freshman year with his legs anyway. Yeah. He was able to create more things. and do things that way. It got you more excited. Mikey hasn't really done anything on the ground to do that, so it's completely different quarterbacks, completely different styles. I don't know, man. Tommy Castellanos is coming in next year. He's got a shot to get some playing time. But Dylan Gabriel is not here next year.
There's a deep drive to left by Castellanos. Yeah, I mean, Keene did have 9 rushes on the game, which I know is something that confirms that Gus Malzahn must listen to the live show, because we talked about that a ton with Nick Patty. So 9 rushes for Mikey Keene, but ultimately the passing game just did not click again. It seems like it's been a little bit downtrodden. I think the Temple game is now starting to look like more of an outlier than it is of anything outside of that. So we'll see how that progresses throughout the rest of the season. Mike, stop me if you've heard this before, but I'm going to give out a Boca Bowl. And I'm going to give it out to the special teams unit. And this is going to be a collective Boca Bowl, Mike. Some of this may be a tad unfair. Some of it may be a tad nitpicky. But special teams has just been a thorn in our side all season long. We have not been able to get anything consistent. Outside of a blocked punt, I can't really think of one special teams play that we've made that we've said, hey, wow, look at us go. And this one was just a comedy of errors, Mike. Let's start with a couple. Obarski, 43-yard field goal missed. I get that that's a decent sized field goal, but I mean that's one that this kid's got to hit, Mike. We know he's got a strong leg. We see him on kickoffs. You got to be able to get that one through. Johnny Richardson. My Christ, what are we doing? I mean, that flub on the goal line where he receives a punt or a kickoff rather, and again, it looks like he tries to step back into the end zone to kneel down, but the ball isn't across the plane. That to me, that just feels like a guy either A, not knowing the rule, or B, just not having the field awareness. I don't know which one it is. I get he's a young player, but that one's just a backbreaker. Andrew Osteen. Now listen. We definitely didn't put Osteen in the best positions to punt, but and he ended up with a pretty good average overall. I think some of that have skewed as he had a 50-yarder in there, 53-yarder in there. But Mike, here are 4 punts from Andrew Osteen. He had a 35-yard punt that had SMU start at their 38. He had a 36-yard punt that had SMU start at their 49. He had a 35-yard punt that had SMU start at UCF's 38, and he had a 34-yard punt that had SMU start at UCF's 35. I know not all of those are his fault because he's just punting where the ball is at, but I mean, if there's ever a time to uncork a good one, I mean, we're essentially averaging 35 yards on those punts in those tight spots. Well, and the outlier is going to tell you that he had a 53-yarder and that he averaged 41 yards. I mean, I think there may be some devil in the details there. And then, look, I understand that there's only so much you can do, but SMU was able to pin us down deep several different times. And we've got to figure out a way to either get some pressure on the kicker. We've got to figure out a way to maybe field that punt. I don't know what we do there, Mike, because SMU just kept playing, flipping the field on us, and we're getting the ball basically inside our own 5 and multiple possessions in that second half. And obviously the offense, as you talked about, wasn't making a lot of stuff happen. Not sure where the fault is in that. Maybe it's just good punting on SMU, and I'm being too critical on this one, but special teams this year has just not been something that has been a strength at all. I don't know where we go from here. Obviously, 2 games left. I don't know if we can do staff changes. It's funny, on the broadcast, I think it was Rini and Goldie said that Sonny Dykes had told them during their pre-game coaches conversation that Sonny Dykes, thought that he could get some plays on special teams because UCF was playing a lot of young guys, a lot of inexperienced guys. So Sonny Dykes saw the film, saw the guys playing on special teams, and was like, oh yeah, we can work here. So I don't know what that says, Mike. I don't know if it's a function of just not having the depth, so we don't want to get more guys injured, so we're rolling out guys who maybe wouldn't normally be on special teams, but it has just been a clown car this year, and another comedy of a group of errors on Saturday against SMU.
Special teams has sucked for the last few years.
Yeah, that's what I said.
We blame Nick Toth. We blame Nick Toth for a couple of years. He's no longer here to be the scapegoat. This year has not been any improvements, maybe even worse than it has been the last couple of years when you take into account the blocked punts and things like that that's happened to us. There's nothing good to say about special teams. We don't have a kicker that we can really rely on that's going to hit a big kick. We don't have a punter that's going to pin somebody deep. We don't have a return game at all, punting or kick returns. This is a huge part of the game. And everybody jokes around like 3 phases, blah, 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 but it is. We were always so good at it for so long, and now we see the difference it makes in the game, and especially when you have a freshman quarterback and an offense that's struggling. To start at your own 10-yard line all the time is a big deal. to get out of your own side of the field is not easy to do. And it puts us in a bad spot offensively. And then when we give them the ball with short fields. It gives our defense a tough spot to try to hold them to a field goal. It's just a big killer on this team, and it has been for a while. It has to get corrected now, and it's not going to happen overnight. I don't expect it to get any better against UConn or Green UConn coming up or in the bowl game. So I don't know what has to happen. We need a dedicated special teams coach, right? Our special teams coach is also what, the linebackers coach or something like that?
Tight end coach.
Tight ends. All right. So, I mean, going forward, Gus needs to figure this thing out. I think Gus typically had good special teams when he was at Auburn, and he needs to figure out whatever they were doing there and transfer it over here, because right now it's not working.
And again, I don't know who you blame this on, Mike. I'm just going to point out the facts here. We start the third quarter on the 25. We get a touchdown on a running play. Then our next 3 possessions, we start at the 8, we punt. We start at the 1, we punt. We start at the 1, we punt. 2 of those came off of punts that were down. 1 came off of the error from Johnny Richardson. Then we start at the 25. We get a touchdown. Start at the 25 again. We fumbled that one away, and then we started our own 4. So our best starting field position in that second half was our own 25. And 1, 2, 3 of those were a direct reflection of something that happened on special teams. So. How do you fix that? How do you correct that? It just seems like at this point the special teams unit just isn't gelling together, and maybe that's the answer, Mike. Maybe we're playing a lot of young guys who just maybe don't have experience, and we're trying not to get guys injured. But special teams definitely gets a Boca from me, Mike. I don't know if you're going clean sweep here. Here's your third chance at win. Will UCF Mike break out the rare triple Boca on the categories?
I can't do it. I had to find something that's okay.
Okay.
I'll give out a liberty to Mark Anthony Richards.
There we go.
Only 8 carries, but 105 yards, 2 touchdowns, a 58-yard touchdown run to maybe think that we had life in this game. Right? What did you kind of do? 38-21. I mean, the game was over. But 38-21. You still lots of time left, almost a whole half of football to go. You're thinking maybe something here could he sparked us to something. A little too late, but he showed his ability. The guy's got some talent. We've been asking to see more of him. Right? We saw him score the game-winning touchdown against East Carolina, the game we went to a month and a half ago. It seems like years ago now at this point. But the talent is there. For some reason, he's not getting as much playing time. Maybe he will now after this performance he put out there on Saturday. A decent second half there. Maybe the next 2 weeks, a game against UConn, maybe gets him a lot more reps, and then we'll see where it goes from there. But at least I had to find something positive from this game, and it's nothing great. But Mark Anthony Richards, on only 8 carries, 105 yards, 2 touchdowns, I'll give him a liberty.
Yeah, I mean he's mystery Mark, right? Because everyone keeps asking what's his deal? How come we haven't seen him? And that's actually what I had from my third category. So we'll do a combo on this one because I can't find anything else better either than Mark Anthony Richards. He played 45 snaps, which is by far the most he's played throughout the entire year. His Pro Football Focus grade was 69, Mike. But something you have been talking about, and the numbers maybe bear this out. He scored a 69.9 on Pro Football Focus, and the biggest downgrade for him was his pass protection. He scored a 30 on pass protection, which is beyond pitiful. So one of the things that you'd been sort of speculating on is perhaps we haven't seen him playing as much because he wasn't really good in the protection game. Well, this seems to bear that out. So maybe that's why we haven't seen him. But he obviously adds a spark. And look, the reality is when you don't have Isaiah Bowser in there, and we saw this really early in the game, Johnny Richardson had a first down, juked his way back, ended up losing the first down, getting tackled there, and I think we ended up having to punt on that series, or I think we lost it on a 4th down or something, right? But those are plays that a bigger guy like Isaiah Bowser trips and gets 4 yards, right? I think Mark Anthony Richards can absorb a hit and pick up an extra yard. No disrespect to Johnny. No disrespect to Trillian Coles, but they're obviously smaller in size. They're more shifty, elusive, scat back type guys, where Mark Anthony at 6'1", 215, and Bowser is a load. Those guys can put the shoulder down and at least fall forward for a yard or two, which the hidden yards in the game are huge. Now, we didn't see him do that this game, but it just makes you scratch your head and wonder why you can't get Bowser out there, or you can't get Mark Anthony out there when Bowser is not in, particularly on running downs. I guess pass protection isn't okay, but if you're not going to pass the ball, who cares? Throw him in there. And so maybe that's a tip to the defense. I don't really know, but at this point, we need some sort of a spark. And mystery Mark, for some reason, I don't know, maybe if his injuries are still kind of piling up. I'm not sure, Mike, but he was indeed a bright spot. That was a nice long touchdown run that he had earlier in the game.
This is a fumble by me. I just now realized you send me the breakdowns on the show, and you did put down Mark Anthony Richards Liberty.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to steal it from you.
No.
I guess I didn't even really.
That's all we got. No, that's all we got, buddy. No, listen, that's all we got on that one. And I was scratching my head to think through another one as you stole it, but I was like, I got nothing else. There's really no. I'm looking at the stat sheet here. I'm looking at the box where I'm like penalties. They don't really matter. So there's not a whole heck of a lot, but it also kind of makes you just wonder. Gus's substitution patterns, who he's playing, who he's not playing. It just makes you scratch your head sometimes at some of these guys. With all due respect to Nate Craig Myers, he's getting a lot of snaps out there, and makes you wonder, why he's getting so many snaps, kind of what's happening with that. It's just, I don't understand it. And again, maybe it's the pass protection thing. I don't really know, but Gus's substitution patterns will forever be a mystery to me.
Yeah, you know what? We got to see what Gus does here with the recruiting. This team needs a serious talent upgrade in a lot of areas. Obviously, the depth has taken a toll on us this year. The injuries, you can't account for this many injuries. And really, at the running back position, we thought we were loaded coming into the year. Then you lose two guys before the season even starts. Bentavious Thompson gets out of here, and then R.J. Harvey takes that injury right before the year. All of a sudden, we're playing with our numbers 3, 4, and 5 running backs. So, but Gus has to do it now. The recruiting thing is going to step up. We've seen a lot of good commitments so far. We got to see how that transfers onto the field. But right now, this team is lacking depth. It's lacking some talent in key areas. And it starts with the running. This should be a running back. The running backs here should be powerhouses. I mean, we should be running all over teams in the American without a problem. I guess the offensive line, too, has a lot to answer for. So we'll see where it goes, man. This is not an encouraging game to go from. There's a lot of ugliness on Saturday. Hopefully the next 2 weeks are a lot better.
Yeah, well, you mentioned a couple of things. Recruiting, bad news today, or maybe it's not bad news. Who the heck knows? But UCF lost a commitment from a transfer from Lamar Bless Harris. The offensive lineman flipped his commitment to Florida State. So he will no longer be coming to UCF. But that's another area next year, Mike. We can talk about this whole another show. But offensive line, particularly what we're losing this year, is going to look really interesting next year. And even though, to your point, this year's line hasn't been dynamite, and we're losing some of the guys off that line, and those guys are still playing, which means that the backups probably aren't any better. So I think line play is going to be a thing. And again, makes you wonder what Gus's plans are. We didn't see Anthony Williams, who looks like a promising young freshman. Again, I get maybe he's not ready at this point. Damaris Good is still, he's still in mothballs. We haven't seen him hardly at all on the field. I know we got the McDonald kid coming in next year, so we'll see how we can rebuild the running back room. But right now, it certainly is not looking positive. Mike, is there anything else positive you want to say about the game? Anything else? Can you say one more nice thing? Can you think of anything nice to say?
No.
What about Andrew Brito?
He threw a couple passes. He completed 2 passes.
2 of 2 for 35 yards. Also took a sack, by the way.
In complete garbage time.
Parker Navarro out of nowhere for a tutty.
What are you? We're stretching here.
Okay, I'm not saying I'm not stretching. Yeah, we're reaching. We're stretching.
Pull your back.
Actually, my hamstring's a little sore today. I'm not. What did you think of Gus on the platform? Platform Gus.
Kind of looked ridiculous, to be honest. I mean, just go up in the booth. Right? Just go up in the booth. Yeah, you're on platform. I expected him to be able to move around at least, like the Booger Mobile or something, go down the field. I don't know. I didn't like it. He's sitting there at the 50-yard line. He can't move. He gets up to start screaming at guys. It's not a good look. Just go in the booth and coach from there. Yeah,
it didn't translate really well on TV. I don't know how effective it was on the field. You saw G.J. Kinney was downstairs and Herb Hand went upstairs, and obviously Gus on the platform. Didn't even see a lot of people going anywhere near Gus, so I don't know how much interaction he really had. So you're right, at that point he probably should have gone to the booth, Mike. So 55-28 is how it ends up. 6-4 now is UCF. You mentioned upcoming game with UConn. We are a big favorite on that one right now. And then obviously we have Green UConn on Black Friday. Like the Cows gave Cincinnati a pretty tough game. We have plenty of time to talk about that, but they've slowly been improving, and that's going to be if we bring this offense and this defense to Black Friday, that thing is going to turn into a dogfight in a hurry.
we need Dylan Gabriel back. We need him back now. We need him back against UConn to at least get some cobwebs out, and then we need him against South Florida. I do not feel confident about that game. I was kind of questioning the UCF fans that kept saying that on Friday night. Oh, we're scared. We're scared of the Cows now? That's how far we have fallen, is that we're scared of the Cows. But I can't say they're wrong. I mean, they have played a lot better, and our team does not look good. So I'm scared of anybody. To be honest, I mean, I think we're going to beat UConn. I'm not saying we're going to blow them out. I don't know if we're blowing anybody out the way we've been playing. So if we can't lose to the Cows, man, if we lose to the Cows and still never have a winning record against them, I don't know what I'm going to do to myself. Yeah,
that's how this season turns around in a hurry. But again, we have plenty of time to dissect all that, though. Again, 6-4 UCF coming up with a 2-game homestand now, Cows and UConn this upcoming weekend. So let's see how that all shakes out, Mike. Let's get to UCF observations in a second, but first, let's talk about your good relationship with the good folks at Paper and Lace. Mike, I know it's a business near and dear to your heart. And by the way, it's a place where you can get some fantastic looking invitations and all that good jazz. Mike, Paper and Lace Boutique. Tell people more about that and what they need to know.
That's right. My sister, Michelle, we just celebrated her 40th birthday, which
happy birthday,
actually
Michelle.
On Friday.
Happy birthday.
But we had a big surprise party last night here at my house. We're going on vacation for her birthday this week. It's a big one, the big 4-0. Maybe I shouldn't tell everybody how old she is.
You just did.
I don't think women like that.
Nope.
But I already did. I did it last week, so who cares? It's over now. It's out there. And none of you people really know who she is, but you should get to know her, and you should get to know Paper and Lace. She does a fantastic job. If you need wedding invitations or invitations to any big event, she is the person to go to. Check out her website, paperandlaceboutique.com, and see the thousands of different invitations she's already created. And what she can do for you, she can do it however you want. Whatever you tell her, what colors you want, what theme you want, she'll make it happen. Give her a call, 954-597-6426. Tell her you heard it here on Sons of UCF. You get 10% off your first order. I guarantee you will love her work. Check out her reviews. Everybody raves about her work and her customer service. She gets the job done. She's better at this than I am at anything, basically. Definitely better at this than I am at podcasting or whatever it is I do. So give her a call. Check out her website. She does everything for your weddings or big events. Michelle at Paper and Lace, paperandlaceboutique.com.
And if you call her today, make sure you wish her a happy birthday, Mike. So appreciate Michelle for her support of the Sons of UCF show, Mike. And let's get into UCF observations. So each week we watch these games. There's a lot going on. We got a lot of thoughts, a lot of things in our minds, and we don't have time to talk about it all. So we've invented the UCF observations, where we will then tell you some funny things that we saw or thought about during the game, Mike. As always, I let you lead off. Why don't you give us your first observation?
All right, Adam.
Yes.
After going 16-14 2 years ago and 11-12 last year, with a comfortable win against Robert Morris on Wednesday and a good road win at Miami on Saturday to start the year 2-0, just like that, UCF basketball is back.
Oh, I see what you did there. I see the little trick you did there, Mike. Well, Mike, I have something for you, Mike. After giving up 36 first downs, 241 rushing yards, 390 passing yards, 631 yards in total, and a bajillion missed tackles, Mike, the UCF defense is bad.
Yeah, it sure is. It sure is. You know what the basketball team did on Saturday?
Took care of business?
I mean, yeah, they took care of business, but we started to build a resume.
Oh,
and that's a big thing later when we're talking about making the big dance on the bubble, this and that. We're building a resume. A win at an ACC team. Miami has had a pretty decent basketball program the last few years.
Yeah.
That's a nice win for us.
Yeah.
We can build off that. Yeah.
You okey-doked me with that one. I thought we were going someplace else there. Mike, Jalen Robinson returned and glad to have him back in the field. Mike, I'm sure he's super excited about coming back to block for Ryan O'Keefe on all those edge throws. I'm sure he's really excited about that. Because he did a lot of blocking for Ryan O'Keefe in those edge throws. We got to figure out a way to get Flash involved. I know the passing game is a bit of a challenge right now with Mikey Keene, but Jay Flash, don't think he came to be an edge blocker.
Yeah, he's a guy that dropped the big pass early in this game too, I believe. Huh?
He did, yeah.
Keene hit him in the hands. You gotta have those. I know you're off for a bunch of weeks, but you gotta catch those.
Gotta catch those.
Or Slamdo, or Slamlando. How about none of the above? Are you in love with either of these things? Is it a little too early for this?
I could have sworn when we were at school that wasn't there a radio station that called it Jamlando?
Probably.
I'm not saying we adopt that either, by the way, but I'm just saying or Slamdo is just not working for me.
I actually like mine better. If we're gonna wear the Citronaut stuff, the Dunkin' O-Nuts.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That's what you did there.
Uh-huh.
Mike, I know Gus was on the platform. I appreciate him making an effort there, but he might as well just coach that game from his office in Orlando. I mean, would there have been a difference, you think, if he had just coached that from just the Wayne Dench Center?
Probably not. Trace asked him about it in the press conference. You got to give him credit for that.
Yeah, he didn't look happy
felt
about
like he was
that.
disconnected. He's not able to talk to the refs. He kept mentioning, which is that's a big part of coaching too. Working the refs during the game. Maybe you get a call here and there. It's not the same. If he's not going to be right there on the sideline, like I said earlier, he's just got to go up to the booth.
Yeah.
Chasing them.
Or stay in Orlando.
Yeah, he could have done that too. All right, well, you know what this week is? It's rivalry week. The civil conflict is back, my friends.
Yes.
And I've got for you the top five moments in the civil conflict. Wow. Are you ready for this?
What a treat. I wasn't expecting this. Okay.
Number 5. You got to go all the way back.
Okay.
Before the civil conflict was even a thing. For UCF, UConn, 2005 in March Madness.
Oh.
We played them in the big dance. They were the number 2 seed. We were the number 15 seed. Took a loss, 77-71. UConn was the defending champs that year. We were down 16 points at the half. Came back and made it interesting. It was a 5-point game with 23 seconds to go. Good fight out of our guys late in that game. But UConn pulled it off. Still, a very good moment, I think, in the civil conflict rivalry history.
I didn't know we hit the bell there. Sorry, I hit the bell at the end because I didn't know if you were selling that one better. Okay, number 5. All right, I'm with you. Number 4.
All right, number 4. And you know what? UConn won a couple of these games in the top 5. Number 4 is the Heatergate game. Only because of the Heatergate thing. 29-37 loss in 2014. Our only loss in conference that year. We win that game outright. We win the conference altogether without having to split it 3 ways. But that game lives in UCF. That goes down in, I guess, UCF infamy as the Heatergate game. Justin Holman, we talked to him about it when he was on the show. He threw, 10 interceptions that game. Bunch of turnovers to put UConn in control. That still had a chance at the end to come back and tie. Couldn't pull it out. But number 4 in the civil conflict rivalry is the Heatergate game. O'Leary turning off the heaters on the sidelines in what was a very cold day in November.
I don't think it was 10 INTs.
No, I think it was 3 or 4, though.
Yeah.
It might have been. I think it was 4. I'm pretty sure.
I think it is 4, yeah.
Number 3, Heupel debut. First ever game in Josh Heupel era, 2018. A 56-17 thumping. And the UCF fast offense was on fire. Mackenzie Milton flinging it to Trey Nixon, who caught a couple touchdowns that game. I think he had 200 yards.
His UCF debut, I believe.
Yeah. So that was a big game at UCF. Blew them out of the water. Number 3, the Heupel debut.
I remember Daryl Mack took a long run to the house, too. That was awesome.
That's right. Yeah, I actually went to a watch party for that game down here in Fort Lauderdale. It was in downtown. I remember watching that game. Fun time, a blowout coming off the national championship year. I thought for sure we were primed for another great season, and we were. We went undefeated that season, too. Of course, we all know the ending. Mackenzie gets hurt at the end. We lose to LSU. But a great start to that season.
Spoiler alert.
Number 2, 2011, basketball again, this time in the Bahamas. UCF beats UConn for the first time ever, 68-63. Marcus Jordan and the boys go down there, take care of business. That was a big upset win. It was Thanksgiving week. I think it was actually Thanksgiving Day. I think it was an early afternoon Thanksgiving, around 12:30, 1 o'clock game, around the same time as the Lions football game, traditional game. Big win back 10 years ago now. UCF basketball.
Big one. We're
back now, but that's a good one. Number 2 in the civil conflict. And the number 1 civil conflict moment of all time, Scott Frost leaving the trophy on the bench.
Oh, yes.
After beating UConn in 2016. Diaco comes up with this ridiculous trophy, creates the civil conflict rivalry, and Scott Frost just shits on it, says, keep your trophy. We don't want this piece of garbage. We beat you up on the field. You guys can keep this crap. We don't want it. And who knows where that thing is right now? Do we really know?
No, I've seen
the actual trophy is.
There are a couple of investigative reporter pieces out there where they're literally trying to find the trophy, and no one really knows where it is. I think there's a fake circulating out there that claims to be the original, but it's been debunked. So I don't know where that thing's at. That'll be an artifact that'll unearth itself. But this should be our new mission, Mike. You know, we figured out the white horse. We must find the location of the civil conflict trophy.
Right. Is this one of the best things Scott Frost did while he was here? Just leave that thing on the bench.
It might be. Yeah, that's a whole other top 5, but it might be up in that top 5.
It's up there. I mean, beating Auburn in the Peach Bowl to go finish the undefeated season is definitely number 1.
Yeah.
But leaving this thing on the bench was great too. So there's your top 5.
Top 5
civil conflict moments.
Wow. I did not see that. What a treat. I did not see that coming, Mike. What's interesting is we have – yeah, that was gross. We have multiple spies now, Mike. The Trace Trelko walk and talk. The spy organization has grown. At this point, Mike, no walk and talk is safe right now. Trace just better watch his back because none of these are all getting found out. These are getting snuffed out by our intrepid listeners and viewers. There's no walk and talks that's safe right now for Trace Trelko.
Who sent you the?
I can't reveal that. My source sent me a message and said this didn't come from me. So there are just people all around the stadium. Just now, no walk and talk is safe. He's going to have to go to, he's going to have to disguise these things. Maybe record a fake one and do some sort of a, Zapruder film situation. He's really going to have to up his game now.
I hope people don't know where Trace lives and stuff. He may have to close his blinds, make sure people are not watching him in his house. This could get scary. It could turn into a stalker situation.
Yeah.
All right. Notre Dame is getting very close to jumping Cincinnati in the college football playoff rankings. Watch out. I think they're, number 7 right now?
Mm-hmm.
And they're right there. And I can see it. They've got a quality loss. They get their quality loss to Cincinnati. Maybe better than Cincinnati's win against Notre Dame. Be careful, Bearcats.
Be careful. Mike, I've been practicing. Are you ready? Shak and Bakajong. That was good, right? Was it? Yeah. I've been Shak and Bakajong. I've been practicing for a couple of days now. Okay. I just want to get that in there.
But you said Mbake? Or is it just Bake?
Shaka Bakajong. Just say it fast. No.
No, I'm not saying it fast. I'll get completely screwed up. All right. The Gators gave up 52 points to Samford and Sons, 42 in the first half. I thought for sure. When I checked on the score, we were already getting our ass kicked by SMU. But when I saw they were losing 42-28 at the half to Samford, that was making me feel so much better. I'm a little disappointed they ended up pulling it off. But you saw the way they were celebrating after that performance.
You throw out the records when you beat Sanford, Mike. All right, here's the deal. I watched this SMU game, and it was not a good game, Mike. And for the first time ever in UCF Observations history, we have a guest here because my daughter, my firstborn, Addison, was taking note of my game watching. Addison has a guest top 5 list of the things I said during the SMU game. This is from Addison. Addison, welcome to the show. Yeah, talking to the microphone. It's time to talk to the microphone right here. You ready? Say hello.
I didn't know she was in the room. Yeah. She heard me curse.
No, she's in the room. Okay, ready. Top 5 things I said during the SMU game. Addison, are you ready? You have to read this list now. This is the list you wrote. This is the list you know how to say. This is the list you wrote. Ready? Number 5.
Who is Andrew Burdo?
Who is Andrew Burrito? She called him Andrew Burrito. That's fine. Number 4, Addison. The number 4 thing I said during the UCF SMU game.
You can't catch the ball and then go back into the end zone, genius.
It's true. I did say that. I don't know what Johnny was doing there. You cannot catch the ball and go back in the end zone. That does not work out. Addison, number 3 thing I said during the SMU game.
I swear to God, Obarski.
Yeah, swear to God, Obarski. I don't know how he can't make this. I mean, like every game with this guy somehow finds a way to do that. All right, Addison, number 2 thing I said during the SMU game.
Well, that's not going to work.
I actually don't even know when I said that. Probably multiple times. That had to be a repeat.
Yeah.
That had to be a repeat there,
I was
Addison.
just going to say.
Yeah, that had to
said
be.
that probably 12 times.
Yeah, that had to be a repeat. There were probably multiple occasions. And Addison, the number 1 thing I said during the UCF SMU game was.
Jesus Christ, Addison, I think your mother could tackle better than these guys.
That is true. I think her mother could tackle better than Addison. Thank you so much for coming in and giving us a guest top 5 list. I appreciate you taking notes for your father. Always a pleasure.
I'm surprised Get Me Another Beer was not one of those because you probably needed a bunch of
Yeah, I probably did. No, it was yeah. I mean, she took these notes. I mean, her observations are her observations, Mike.
And I gotta say, Stephanie's definitely a better tackler than half our defense. So.
I think so. Yeah, I think she could probably at least out tackle. I don't know. Justin
Go ahead,
Hodges,
say
maybe. I don't know. They're about the same size.
Wilson,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, UCF is still the only bowl-eligible team in Florida, despite the loss this week. We still got more wins than Florida, Florida State, Miami, FAU, FIU. We're the champs. Come knock us off.
Yeah. I don't know about anything, Mike, but I think Johnny Richardson's awareness rating on Madden is going to take a big hit after Saturday. Big.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
UCF, Cure Bowl,
Ugh.
collision course.
Ugh.
It's happening. That's where we're going to end up.
I know. Mike, a Brandon Mahan update. He had 15 points against Miami, including 10 for 10 on free throws. On the year, he is now shooting 3 of 14 from the field and 1 of 12 from 3, Mike. Do you know what we call that?
I don't know.
That's a cold spell,
Ice
my friend.
cold.
That's a cold spell. Yeah, you're close. That's a cold spell, my friend.
Yeah, but 10 for 10 for the line.
That's big. Yeah.
At least there's that.
He's contributing.
Okay? Right, 10 points from the free throw line, and you hit all of them. That helps.
Yeah.
That's help. When you're not hot from the field, you can take that to the free throw line, right? And it can mess with your confidence, and then you really go down the tubes. But at least he was able to block that out and hit those shots. We could use that.
Cold spell.
All right. If we lose to the Cows,
Mm-hmm.
all right. If we lose to the freaking Cows, Gus, hot seat.
Oh, boy.
Collision course. Dude. Heupel never lost to the Cows.
It's true.
Right? Frost, yeah, he did lose to the
He
Cows,
did.
but he gave us the most memorable game against the Cows.
Mhm.
Won the big one.
Mm-hmm.
Gus cannot come in year 1 and lose to the Cows. The Cows have only won, 2 games this year? We cannot lose to the freaking Cows. I don't care if they're playing better. We're not playing good. That game is at home. We're going to be favored. That's a must-win. I'm sorry. I mean, to take the lead in the all-time series, we have to win that game.
Mike, I saw Mackenzie Milton had senior day this past weekend for FSU, excuse me. By my count, is that his 3rd senior day that he's had? I feel like that's the 3rd time he's tried it out in the field, which is fantastic. Because how do we get him back for a 4th? Because I feel like we need one more with him at UCF. We need to get him back for another UCF senior day.
Yeah, he definitely had one in 2019 when I went to the game.
Yeah.
He probably was participating last year and then this year. You're right. Oh, man. And imagine if he didn't transfer. I mean, I know it's almost impossible to know that back then. And Dylan Gabriel gets hurt this year. He would be playing the last 7 weeks. How different this season would have looked, I don't know. I mean, he definitely doesn't look like the same Mackenzie Milton, but it would have been sweet to have him back in the black and gold this season. Unfortunately, he's in the garnet and gold, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
All right. If we lose to UConn,
Mm.
can you imagine that? If we lose to UConn, UCF Mike, Baker Act,
Oh, no.
collision course. I may do some things to myself. I'll be on a plane during that game. I'll be watching on the ESPN app. And if we're losing to UConn, check the news because things may go down on a plane.
Okay.
Somewhere between here and the Caribbean islands.
Okay, I'm with you, Mike. I appreciate Gus had sort of thoughts about having a running quarterback offense. Maybe we had the wrong one. Maybe it should have been Parker Navarro, not Joey Gatewood. You see that run he had, Mike? Nice little scamper. Maybe we had the wrong running quarterback this whole time.
Yeah, maybe. Does Mikey need to watch out?
No, I mean the Parker's going to be in Tennessee next year, but I don't. We certainly have. Maybe we had the wrong running quarterback. I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah, I'm completely out. I got nothing else to observe from this week.
I got one more. Are you still looking for 4 Oklahoma basketball tickets out there? So if anyone finds any laying around, you be sure to let your boy know, Mike. That is our UCF Observations.
That's an observation?
It is. I observed I still don't have 4 tickets to the Oklahoma game. So Addison did not write that one down in her top 5 list, but maybe I'll course correct that later. She can be grounded for that one. But those are UCF Observations, Mike. That puts a bow on all the football stuff. It's obviously things are not looking in the most favorable direction right now, but who is looking favorable is the Hoops team, Mike. They started off 2-0, and we're going to take a quick little siesta break here. When we return, we'll give you a weekend review for UCF men's basketball. Don't go anywhere. Mike is still not on the plane, and when he does get back, maybe he'll tell you more about his nefarious acts. But until then, we're going to be back. It's on UCF.
This is UCF Athletic Director Terry Mahajer, and in my spare time, when I'm not on TikTok, I'm listening to Adam and Mike on the Sons of UCF. Go Knights and charge on!
All right, well, not all things in the UCF sports world are going bad, Mike. The men's and women's basketball teams tipped off this week. The women won a game against Duquesne, then lost a tough one against Tennessee, where the men, they won the home opener against Robert Morris 69-59, and then went down to your neck of the woods there in Coral Gables and came out with a nice road win, 95-89. That's right, Mike. Your UCF basketball team scored 95 actual points in a regulation game, 2-0 to start the season, Mike. So let's at least start here. What are your first, impressions of the new look UCF basketball team?
You gotta like what you see so far. All right, this is a balanced team that can score. They can play defense. They can rebound. They've done it all so far in this season. I mean, it's only 2 games. I know Robert Morris has nothing to write home about, but at Miami, on the road, ACC team, that's a nice win. So far, I like what I'm seeing. And we're not even getting crazy performances. I mean, you mentioned Mahan hasn't really got hot yet. He's supposed to be one of our better scorers. Hasn't been great. Isaiah Adams has been okay. He's been good. He hasn't been fantastic. I think we can expect better things out of him down the road. Darren Green had a nice shooting night the other night against Miami. Put up some points, about 23 points against them. So that's good. We've got all the tools. That's why I am going to be upset if we don't make the big dance and Trace gets on me for putting Johnny on the hot seat. He's got the team this year. Now, if we keep everybody stays healthy and I think we can do some damage in this conference. People are saying 3 or 4. Hey, let's compete with Memphis and Houston. I mean, those guys are rebuilding too. They don't have their same teams back from last year. We should be able to fight for this conference championship, and I like what I see so far of these guys.
Yeah, you have to be encouraged. I think a couple of things stand out to me really early on. Number one is depth. We've already played 11 different guys at least 1 minute in a game this year, and we really haven't had any blowouts. I mean, the Robert Morris game was a little bit wasn't as close maybe as the score indicated, but we've already played 11 guys, Mike. And last year, I think we had stretches of games where we played 6 or 7 guys only. So getting a bunch of guys some minutes has certainly been helpful because it allows, I think, Johnny to be a little bit more purposeful with his matchups and allows guys to go a little harder and know they're going to get a breather, particularly on the new aggressive pressing, trapping defense that UCF's employed, particularly off made baskets. I think that's been a nice wrinkle on the season so far. One of the things I talked about in our show last week was which would the new Darren Green show back up, Mike? And boy, has he ever. To your point, he had a pretty nice night against Miami, averaging 18.5 on the year. I know it's only through 2 games. And Mike shooting 53% from 3. Obviously, those are probably not numbers he's going to keep up, but he definitely has come out on a hot streak. When he is shooting the ball, Mike, it is obviously it's a thing of beauty. He's got a really good stroke. I think UCF said, maybe the best shooter UCF's had this side of Matt Williams. I think a lot of his offense has been due to the fact that he's got some playmakers around him that can get him the ball, that are driving the lane, and he's getting a chance to knock down some kickouts, which certainly plays a big role. And the big man in the middle, Shak Bak Jong, while he certainly hasn't been lighting it up from a scoring standpoint, I mean, the guy's a load in the middle of the lane, Mike. 6'11". He had 5 blocks against Robert Morris. He's obviously leading the team, or second on the team rather, than rebounds behind C.J. Walker. I think if you put him and Walker on the front line, with their length, their athleticism, their ability to kind of block guys out and be in the way, that's going to be a problem. Those two guys are defensive monsters down low. So I think UCF is shaping itself up. I'm really, really excited so far. God, I hope I don't have to regret saying these words, but I'm definitely getting more and more optimistic as the season hopefully will go on, that we'll see even better performances from UCF.
You mentioned those guys. Bakke looks good, man. He looks like a force in the middle. C.J. Walker, we always said, is just improve the offense a little bit. He's actually done that through the first 2 games. 14 points against Miami. He hit a 3-pointer. He was 6 for 8 from the field. 11 rebounds. We know that's his strength. The guy is like Dennis Rodman down there, just getting boards. He eats boards. That's all he does, is this guy. I love his hustle. I love his energy that he brings. I kind of like him coming off the bench so far earlier this year. 12 points against Robert Morris. He had a block and a steal in that game. He's just a guy that can come in, and you don't lose anything when he comes in. If anything, I think you gain some stuff. And if he's adding that offensive part to his game, he can be a very dangerous player. Maybe he could turn out to be the best all-around player we have on this team. I like Darius Perry so far. He's the leader on this team. He's done his job.
Yeah, and
he's doing pretty good. So Mahan still he's been struggling. He hasn't got hot yet, but he's a guy that if he does get hot, he can carry you for a game or two, or a stretch. He can be a big time offensive player, even though he's not doing what he can during the field. We mentioned the free throws, 10 for 10 from the line. That's big. We won this game by what? 7 points, 6 points. Those 10 points are huge. So I like what I see all these guys. How about Ty Freeman? Has been he's been impressive to me. Yeah. He's been efficient, 7 for 9 so far from the field. I know I'm not lighting it up. He's not getting a lot of minutes, but 9 points, 7 points in 2 games. Good start to his career. There's a lot to like about this basketball team. So far, I'm very impressed.
Well, a couple things to keep an eye on. So 69-59 was the Robert Morris win. We were up by 17, I think, at points during that game, and we kind of let him creep back in at the end there. Got a little bit sloppy. Made some bad decisions. Obviously, at that point, the game was already in doubt, but certainly, you don't want to see that. And against Miami, we were winning pretty handily throughout. I mean, we had a really nice stretch coming off the second half there, right off the tip, or the inbound, and we were playing well. Now, I will say the referees helped Miami shot just a tremendous amount of free throws. So it seems like the AAC or the ACC, the home cooking referees, were definitely trying to give Miami a boost. But another one got a little closer than it should have down the end. There was a really bad steal and basket towards the end that made this thing look even a little worse than it did. So that's the one thing you want to maybe clean up is, we get out to comfortable leads. Can we maintain those? Can we have the composure down the stretch to handle the ball, make good passes, make good decisions? We got a little sloppy against Robert Morris, and obviously didn't hurt us. We got a little sloppy against Miami. Referees helped, of course, but didn't hurt us. But you don't want to keep getting those points, Mike, where you're winning a game all the way down to the end, then you do something dumb and you lose in the last second.
Well, we saw that a few times last year, and the games against Wichita come straight to mind. Those were games I felt we should have won and found a way to lose them at the end. I think it was a game against Temple, too, last year, where I think we should have really won and found a way to blow it at the end. So if we get that corrected and we turn those losses into W's this year, I think this team can go a long way, man. I really do. I have a lot. As long as we stay healthy and you keep seeing these guys develop, and they're going to start gelling even more as the season goes on, winning the close games. And that's one thing, we would like to see them finish these teams off and win comfortably. But to be tested a little bit here early is not a bad thing either. Hold on to these games, not blow a game. Like, if they had lost this game to Miami, it would have been the same thing as last year over again. You see them hold on, do what they got to do to finish it off. I think that's a good sign going forward. Now we got a couple cupcakes coming up the next couple games. We should take care of business. We should be 4-0 going into that Oklahoma game. And then we got Oklahoma and Auburn back to back. Those are not going to be easy ones, but if you split those, or you beat Oklahoma at home, and who knows what happens against Auburn. This team, I got to tell you, we're building a resume. I mentioned it in the observation.
Yeah, I heard that somewhere.
Resume being built right before our eyes.
Well, we said last week as we previewed the schedule, UCF has 11 non-conference games. We basically thought 6 of them were in that cupcake variety: Robert Morris, Jacksonville, Evansville, Bethune, North Carolina A&T, and North Alabama. But we had 5 that we circled, Mike, that we said were going to be some games that we really wanted to see how well we did. I think the goal is how can you come out of the non-conference schedule? What can your record be? So we had the 5 games circled: Miami, Oklahoma, Auburn, Florida State, and Michigan. Right now, we're 1-0. So we're 1-0 in those games, and I think we said we wanted to at least win 3 of those 5 would have been where we want to be at, right? Because we win those 6, we win 3 of those 5. That puts us at a 9-2. We would love that coming out of non-conference. So right now we're 1-0 in that category. To your point, we got a couple more games to work out the kinks, maybe shake some more rust off, figure some stuff out before we get into a back-to-back with Oklahoma and Auburn. So you got to feel good about where you are. You mentioned the cupcake coming up next Tuesday night. Jacksonville will be in Orlando playing UCF, and then Saturday we are going to be in Evansville, Indiana, to take on whatever the heck the Evansville team is nicknamed. So those are the next 2 upcoming games. You'd like, to your point, to be 4-0 coming out of that, Mike, and then the schedule sets up interestingly. So we're so far we're 1-0 in those big 5 non-conferences, which you got to like.
All right, and I mean, this team, now that the excitement's building, football we can say is basically done. We got 2 games left. This is turning into a basketball school.
Oh boy,
we got big games at home. Oklahoma, that place needs to be rocking. If that game against Michigan, the number 6 team in the country at home, is not sold out and rocking, like, there should be tailgating for that game. It's a December 30th game. I know the students are probably all at home. They're not even there. The local crowd needs to show up strong for that game against Michigan. That's a big-time game. This team deserves the support. The next 2, Oklahoma and Auburn, those are big games. We split those. We're in very good shape. Evansville, did you know? Birthplace of my childhood idol, Don Mattingly.
I did not know that. I did not know where that was. Yeah, I didn't know where that was going. Even John Rothstein, he's a noted college basketball writer and reporter. He tweeted out after we beat Miami that basically keep an eye on the Knights in the American Conference, basically saying Johnny has a really good squad. He even called out some praise for C.J. Walker in his game. So some of the national guys are taking notice too, which will certainly be helpful, Mike. Obviously, football is a little bit different than basketball. There may be 2 or 3 games in between shows that Mike and I do here. So, Mike, let's try something new each week. Let's pick a player of the week. So obviously, UCF went 2-0 during this past week since you've heard his last, Mike. Who was your MVP of this past week? Who's the player of the week for you?
I'm going to give it to C.J. Walker.
Okay.
I'll give it to him for this week. He all-around player. The guy, like I mentioned earlier, does it all with the rebounding, his energy coming off the bench, and he's adding a little bit of points to his games. I mean, that's the one thing. I was harder on him than anybody, I think, last year, just telling him how much he was just throwing bricks up. And even his first couple of shots against Robert Morris on Wednesday didn't look great either. But, you look at the score the next day, he's got 12 points there. He's got 14 against Miami. He's contributing on the offensive side. That's all bonus. That's cherry on top, because you don't even need that out of him. But if he's going to start doing that, this team is going to be very hard to stop.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Darren Green Jr. Again, he had a really good game against Miami, averaging 18 and a half a game, shooting 53% from 3, which is fantastic. He just looks more comfortable out there this year, Mike. And obviously, it's a team where we have to figure out where can we get some instant offense from. You're going to get some hustle plays from some guys like C.J. Walker and Isaiah Adams, but set plays for Darren Green are going to be huge. And so to see him sort of breaking through, we chronicled last week that he basically had kind of that sophomore slump. So to see him kind of already starting off on a good foot, averaging 18 and having a really good game against Miami, I'm going to give him my player of the week, Mike. Stat of the week for me is free throw shooting. Your UCF Knights, Mike, through 2 games are shooting a robust 83% from the line, including shooting 88% from the line against Miami. It's probably no secret that's how we won that game. You shoot 88% from the line. Obviously, you're going to be a formidable opponent any week. So 83% on the year so far. That's been an area that we have been struggling in. You mentioned Brandon Mahan, 10 for 10 in free throws in a Miami game. So stat of the week, free throws, 83% for UCF.
Yeah, that's a big part of the game. We talk about special teams and football, free throw shooting and basketball. Torchy would go nuts if his team wasn't hitting their free throws, right? Those are free points. That's why they're called free throws. You got to hit those. 83% is pretty good, better than we've had the last couple of years. That should be where we're shooting it from the line. I know it's only been 2 games, so we'll see how it goes from the rest of the way, but good start so far from the line.
We also got to watch our three-point shooting, Mike. We are essentially 33% as a team from three-point land. And, we fell in love with the three against Robert Morris, only going 6 of 24 from there. But we shot 40% against Miami. So you live by the three, you die by the three. I think we've got to make sure that we can have guys who can consistently hit that and take that. You mentioned Darius Perry had a pretty good game. Obviously, we talked about Darren Green, but Brandon Mahan has been struggling on the three. Isaiah Adams has been struggling on the three. So hopefully we're not going to fall in love with the three-point shot, because you live by that thing, you die by that thing. So far, we're living by it, but certainly don't want to take up too many of those. And before you know, it becomes one-on-one hero ball. And if we're not making those threes, that's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, even C.J. Walker threw up a couple threes. He hit one of them.
He is.
Not your shot.
Yeah, he's 33% on the year, Mike. What do you want the guy to do? You said to improve his shooting, and he heard you. He went on and improved his shooting.
No. What I want him to do is crash the boards and follow up with some rebounds and some layups. He's not a three-point shooter, so sometimes hitting that is the worst thing that can happen to you. You know that. Yeah. You think you're going to hit them all now. He's going to start chucking them up. He becomes a chucker. That's chucker, not good.
Yeah.
So,
a few interesting notes. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean, Darren Green, that's the guy you want throwing him up. That guy can shoot. You better get out on that. He can throw him up. I don't mind him. If he misses 4 or 5 in a row, I still want him to keep shooting.
And then the lineups, Mike, we were curious of what Johnny's rotation would be. So through 2 games, we saw 2 different starting fives. So Darren Green, Darius Perry, and Shak Bak Jong are the only 3 guys rather to start both games. So Johnny continues to kind of mess with that lineup. Darius Johnson, the true freshman, got to start at Miami. We've only seen Tony Johnson for 1 game. Jamil Reynolds, who played pretty well in spots last year, has only played 4 minutes total this year. Dre Fuller, who was a starter for a lot of last year, has only played 19 minutes total. But give him a hat tip, Mike. He only played 8 minutes against Miami, but was 6 of 6 on free throws down the stretch. He had some really big shots. So curious to see how Johnny figures out the rotation still. Sean Mobley still has not played. Again, Tony Johnson only played 1 minute so far on the year. So Johnny's rotation will continue to probably evolve over time, but curious to see how he works all these guys together.
Yeah, I mean, Johnny's going to put the guys out there. They're going to put us in position to win. This is competitive college basketball. This is not llama corn softball where I got to put everybody in the infield and everybody in the outfield and switch around in every inning. This is big time basketball here now. So Johnny's got to do what he's got to do. If guys don't like the playing time and they want to transfer out, the transfer portal's open. Johnny's not scared of that. He's got a couple 4-stars coming in already next year. So I like what he's doing. He's going to mix it around the next couple games, too. We got, like I mentioned, a couple cupcakes coming up. And then when it comes down to serious times, games against Florida State and Michigan and Auburn and Oklahoma, he's going to put the guys out there that he thinks is going to win the game for him. So I have no problem with the way he's done it so far. No time for Mobley. Whatever, dude. We saw what the guy did last year. He's okay. But it's good to have guys with experience on the bench in case we need them down the stretch.
Well, that's your basketball breakdown here. 2-0 to start the season. Again, things are really going the right direction. Women's team obviously starts off 1-1. Mike, other quick update. Men's soccer went to Tulsa for the AAC championship game, lost 2-1, and that pretty much all but excludes them from going to the postseason tournament. So our struggles in Tulsa continue. Soccer team had a good season, but looks like both men's and women's soccer will be shut out of the postseason. So not looking good over there, Mike. But coming up next, what is maybe looking good is going to be your picks. I saw in the pool tracker you had a heater this week. So let's see how that shakes out when we look at the standings. We'll do that right after this.
This is UCF head football coach Gus Malzahn, and you should listen to the Sons of UCF like your hair is on fire. Go Knights and charge on.
You know the drill. They play them. Mike picks them. Sometimes he picks them correctly. I think this was one of the weeks where he may have actually picked them correctly. But we'll update the pool tracker results. Who is leading the pool tracker in hopes of winning that cool Citronaut hoodie and maybe a Sons of UCF hat. And obviously, Mike will give you his picks for the week as well, Mike. So let's update the pool tracker. Who's atop the leaderboard? Has Eric Lopez been dethroned yet, or is Eric Lopez still perched upon the top spot?
He is tied at the top still. SJB 43 hanging in. Two of them at 48 and 37. They separated themselves a little bit from the pack because the next person in third place, Statboy Drew, 45 and 40. Only a couple of weeks ago now, so a three-game lead for those two. They're going to battle it out for the hat and the hoodie. And, I mean, I'm saying basketball tickets to a game, but Elo, I think, can get tickets to any game he wants. So if SJB 43 wins, he's got a couple of basketball tickets coming his way.
Are they Oklahoma tickets?
The season will still be going on.
All right, never mind.
So, no.
I was just asking.
Maybe Michigan. How about Michigan?
Asking for a friend. I don't think you want to do that. Those tickets are pretty expensive. I don't know if you look those things up on Ticketmaster.
I'll look it up. Maybe a Temple game.
Yeah, there you
go. But you talked about my games last week, right?
I did.
I'm going to quote Cam Newton here. I'm back. 3-0, baby. On my show picks last week, I won Houston and Temple. I won East Carolina, Memphis. And I won the Cincinnati Cal game. Look at my season record, creeping back to almost 500. 15, 17, and 1. And the pool tracker, I went 4-2. My record now is 39 and 46 overall. Just a couple weeks ago, I was 2 games behind Trace Chalco. Now here I am, 2 games up on Trace Chalco. He's at 37 and 48. You right around 500. Kind of falling back a little bit. 43 and 42. Mm-hmm. You better watch yourself. I'm only a couple games behind you. We got a couple to go. I may catch you and win Suns overall tournament.
Okay, Mike has threatened everybody in the tournament, which is fantastic. SJB 43. We still don't know who this person is, right? No one. This person has not reached out to us. If they listen.
No, I have no idea who it is. Maybe we could try to figure it out.
Yeah, we need to get your
names. Starts with an S and. Maybe
I'm glad you cracked that code, Mike.
Maybe it's what's our boy Probs. His name is I don't know what his middle name is.
I don't think
his first and last name is S&B.
I think he's all Probs all the time. Either way, if SJB 43, if you listen, and I don't know why you don't, by the way, get in touch with us on Twitter or something so we at least know who you are. So if we need to get you the goods, we can get you the goods. But so far, an interesting little battle here. We've got SJB and UCF Eric Lopez, and Statboy Drew, Brandon Nitro, and Jay Blow 38387 right there. Lonely Bumblebee, our guy Mario, right behind. So still some time to go here. To your point, Mike, a couple of weeks left in the season. A lot of guys within striking distance. So don't give up just yet, my friends.
That's right. So me 3-0 last week, 5-1 the last 2 weeks. That is a heater, my friend. I think I am on a heater.
An official heater has started. Okay.
And I've got 3 more fire picks for you right now. Crank up the music.
Boom.
With full confidence. Here I go.
Here we go.
Game number 1. Memphis getting 9 points at Houston. The Tigers have been a Jekyll and Hyde team all year long. I don't know what to expect out of these guys week to week. They win the first 3 games of the year, then they lose the next 3. Then they win, then they lose, then they win, then they lose. They've been back and forth the last 4 games, beating Navy, losing to UCF, beating SMU, losing to East Carolina. I don't know what to make of the Memphis Tigers. The Cougars, on the other hand, winners of 9 straight games. They clinched the spot in the championship game already. Congratulations to them. I warned everybody before the season started that Houston was going to be a problem. I said we'd had to win out the whole thing. The loser of the UCF Cincinnati game was going to have a problem because Houston had the easiest schedule in mankind. They didn't have to play either one of us. They had home games against Memphis. They had a home game against SMU. And they've taken advantage of it. Good for them. They're looking to finish strong now, and they can rest guys the final week of the year. Next week they play UConn. So this is their final conference game. They finish strong against Memphis. They're in a good spot to probably pull off the upset against Cincinnati in a couple weeks. This is a Friday night game. They should have a hyped up crowd. They have a very good season, so the crowd should be into it. Number 17 in the AP poll, but still not ranked at all in the college football playoff. Maybe this week, we're recording this on Sunday, maybe by Tuesday they crack the top 25. But this should be a statement game for them. They can come out and blow the doors off Memphis and maybe make a name for themselves going into that championship game. Memphis, however, has won the last 5 meetings in this series. I'll still take the Cougars. I think they win this thing by 2 touchdowns. I'm not scared of the 9 points. Give me Houston to cover 9.
Yeah, so logically, I say to myself, Daniel Holgorsen always seems to find a way to do something kind of idiotic down the stretch of one of his teams. But I also, to your point, Memphis is just so schizophrenic that I don't know what you're going to get week after week from that. It's at Houston, which I think is a big part of my thinking here too. And to your point, you're right. They can just go in and hopefully play well and look ahead and maybe coast. I think maybe it's closer, but I do think Houston can win this thing by a touchdown and a field goal, or touchdown, 2 field goals, something like that. So I'm going to go with the heater. I mean, you're on the heater. Why would I go against the heater? I will go with you in Houston.
That's right. Houston, they could technically lose this game, and they can lose to the UConn next week, and it doesn't matter. So they could pack it in right now and rest everybody. They can do whatever they want. It doesn't make a difference. But I think they're coming in hot. They're going to keep it going against Memphis. Memphis has not been good. So give me the Cougars. Game number 2, SMU. Plus 15 points at Cincinnati. The Mustang offense was firing on all cylinders this past week against UCF, coming off 2 losses. They rebounded nicely. We look like crap. We all know that. They technically are still alive in the American Athletic Conference race. They need to win this week, beat Cincinnati, and they need Cincinnati to lose to East Carolina next week, and boom, you got a rematch SMU-Houston in the championship game. It is possible, I suppose. And the Bearcats, they've been doing just enough to get by the last 4 weeks. They haven't been overly impressive at all. They beat Navy, they beat Tulane, they beat Tulsa, they beat the Cows. They haven't really done it in impressive fashion. The over-under in this game is 65 points. You know what? Give me the under. I think Cincinnati's defense, they can actually tackle as opposed to the UCS defense this past week. I think they can not shut SMU down, but I think they can keep them right around 30 points, maybe a little less. And I expect a close game. I think Cincinnati ends up finding a way to win somehow. They can escape in this game. But I like the Mustangs to cover in this one. 15 points is too much. Give me SMU on the road, covering 15. Even if Cincinnati wins by 10, you still get to cover there with SMU.
Yeah, I'll agree with you. Cincinnati has not been covering in the last couple of weeks, as you pointed out there. Actually, that's one of the only games I won this week was the Cows game, because obviously since he didn't cover that. I really want to pick SMU to win this thing outright, Mike, because we saw the SMU's offense. I think they got nothing to lose at this point, right? I think they can go in and just play loose and do what they do. I don't think they have much to kind of consider with. This may be the last year for Sonny Dykes. We heard about his contract situation, so maybe guys just go in there and let it rip. The problem is it's at Cincinnati, it's at Nippert, which I would have liked this one if this was on a home game at the Gerald Ford Memorial Coliseum, whatever it's called. I think I would absolutely take SMU. I'll take them to win with the points. I'm leaning towards even taking them to win outright, but I'm not that crazy just yet. But I agree with you. I don't think Cincinnati covers this. They have not been covering of late. I wonder if all this college football stuff's getting to their head now. They dropped to number 3 in the AP poll after winning, which is obviously an oddity. And Alabama moves up to 2. We saw Oklahoma lose this week, so they're going to be knocked out. But you're probably going to keep your same top 4 of Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, and Oregon, with Cincinnati just on the way out. You mentioned Notre Dame earlier. Watch out for them creeping up. You never know where that's going to come from. Michigan State, that'll settle itself out as well. So maybe some of this is just getting a little bit old for Cincinnati, and they're just kind of getting distracted. But I still think they win this thing, even though I really want to pick the upset, but I don't think they cover.
Yeah, Michigan's going to jump over them, especially if they beat Ohio State. They'll jump right back over. So there's a Big Ten in there, and they need Alabama to lose to Georgia. Otherwise, both of those teams are getting in.
But are you convinced? I mean, we have plenty of time to talk about this. Are you convinced, though, that Alabama-Georgia SEC championship game, Georgia wins on a last-second field goal, 31-30. Alabama has 2 losses. And, Cincinnati, plays Houston in the American Conference Championship game, and wins, 34 to 31. You're convinced that Cincinnati's going in over Alabama? I'm not.
No.
And if anybody out there
is,
man, you guys haven't watched a lot of college football.
Yeah, at that point, I wouldn't be surprised they throw Texas A&M in there.
Exactly. Yeah.
So now, 3 SEC teams.
Now, if Georgia just takes them to the woodshed and wins that thing like 45-10, then yeah, Alabama's gone. But I think a close game and a 2-loss Alabama taking what will obviously at that point be the number 1 team in the nation, down to the wire and losing close. I think they'll still find a way to get Alabama in there.
Yeah. So it's not set in stone that these guys are going to get in. I don't know. Me personally, I'm rooting for them to go undefeated, but I want them to get left out, just like us, so they know what it feels like, because they're kind of jackasses themselves.
Yeah.
So we'll see. There's a long way to go. It's not easy to go undefeated, as we've known. So not many teams can do it.
That's fair.
Game number 3. This is it. This is the game we've been waiting for. Rivalry week, baby.
Oh boy.
Civil conflict is back. Throw out the record books.
That's out.
UConn plus 29 points at UCF. The Knights coming off an embarrassing performance in Dallas. No other way to put it. That was a disaster we just watched on Saturday. Do we receive the return of Dylan Gabriel? Because we need it. We need him now more than ever. We need that shot of energy that will turn this whole team and the season around. We saw him post a video last week, and everybody got excited for about 5 minutes, and now nothing. Is he going to practice this week? Is he almost back? According to Ryan Schneider, he should have been back 3 weeks ago. He's still not here. So we need him back. This offense needs him back. The whole team needs him. The Huskies, they've covered the spread against Clemson just this past week. They beat Yale a few weeks ago. They had close games against Wyoming and Vanderbilt, only a 2-point game. They just got a shot of energy themselves. They signed a new head coach, Jim Mora Jr. The guy's going to be playing. Yeah, his son. Those guys are going to be playing hard to impress their new coach. This is not going to be as easy as I think we would have thought coming into this year. UCF has only scored more than 30 points once in the Mikey Keene era. That's the Temple game. We scored 30 points his first game against Navy. Now you want us to win by 30 points? I think this is going to be way closer than we want. I think we win. I think maybe we win by 3 scores, maybe even 3 touchdowns. 31-10, I see. But that's only 21 points. This is a 29-point game. Give me UConn to cover against the Knights at home.
2 words. Hammer UConn, because there's no way that we are winning that thing by 30. Clemson, I think, just beat them 40-7, and it was a 44-point spread or something like that. Not that Clemson looked fantastic this year, but obviously their offense has been a little bit better than ours at times. And you're right. I think we can probably get out to a lead comfortably. Get up by a couple touchdowns, let the defense come over and do some things. Maybe Obarski will figure out a way to kick a field goal in there, and we win this thing by 21, 24 points, something like that. But I don't think we approach that 30 mark. So I think you hammer UConn on this one.
Yeah, there's not many teams in the country right now we can beat by 30 outside of Temple. That would be worse. But other than that, I don't know who we're beating by 30. It sure as heck ain't the Cows, and I'm not even convinced it's UConn. So give me the Huskies to cover this game. I've got Houston at home covering 9 points. I got SMU at Cincinnati getting 15, and I got UConn getting 29 points at UCF. I'm on a heater. do what you want with that information. But 5-1 the last 2 weeks, 3-0 last week. I'm turning things around. You may see me next week on this show over 500 if I go 3-0 this week.
Wow. Well, don't say he didn't warn you, my friends. If you want to get in on the UCF Mike heater, do so responsibly. Coming up next, we'll be irresponsible, and we will tell you who we think are cows of the week. Sons of UCF. We will return right after this.
Okay, sons of UCF, both of you, you are the fault.
Let's do the cow thing, Mike. Each week we find something that did something idiotic or funny or something we just want to make fun of, and we announced them as cow of the week in homage to our neighbors over there in Temple Terrace. And I'll let you lead off, Mike. Who's cow of the week for you this week?
Oh man, we discussed over the break different things that happened over the weekend, and I of course was not prepared for cow of the week segment like I traditionally am. I was on a heater with that too. I've had cows the last couple of weeks. This week I didn't have a cow.
Yep. But
you reminded me of one, and it's ourselves again, and a game where we're all cows this past week in Dallas. The defense, the offense, the special teams. Us as fans, everybody was a cow. How about our head coach?
Oh,
that pedestal thing, that table setup, that whole thing was cow worthy. They should be making memes on that if they haven't already.
They are.
I don't like the look of that. Just go in the booth, Gus. I mean, even Deion Sanders has at least a cool scooter or something on the sidelines. He's what division is Jacksonville State? D2, D3. They can have something moving around. Deion would not put himself up on a freaking stand 7 feet in the air with a table, right? Obviously. So Gus, you gotta do better than that. UCF has to do better than that. I know it's a road game. Maybe they didn't have control of everything. We're back home now for the next 2 weeks. I want to see something that moves around. Gus has to be able to move, or he needs to be up in the booth. This thing is not going to work out. Bad look for us. We are the cow of the week. Ooh. Who's in charge? Whoever made this decision. Is it Gus? Is it the equipment people? Is it just the UCF football? I don't know who came up with this idea. Didn't look good. Fix it. Fix it now.
Mike wants names. It's very possible it could have been the SMU people. Obviously, it was an SMU game. I don't think UCF traveled that thing to Dallas, so I think it was maybe SMU. Maybe we said, hey, we want Gus to do something, and that's what they came up with. I don't really know. And I think Gus alluded to it after the game that he didn't really like it himself. What that means going forward, I think we'll have to see. Maybe being at home, there's more available infrastructure that Gus can leverage and UCF can leverage. Maybe it's one of those cart deals that Deion has. That's on social media. Maybe it's just going up to the booth and being up there. Who knows? But it looked awkward. It looked clunky. It wasn't like players were going over there or anybody else was up there talking to him, at least that we could see. Obviously, he was still on the headset. We saw him trying to yell at some officials. I don't know how well that worked out. So it looked a little clunky. It just didn't look fantastic. And now you get those memes out there where people are putting that picture on the table that says, whatever, convince me I'm wrong or change my mind or something. So you're getting all those Gus memes out there too. So it would, you know what? It would look fantastic if we had won, by the way.
Yeah, winning cures everything. Literally. There's no problems when you win. You can do whatever you want. But when you get destroyed and you get embarrassed, we're giving up, how many, 55 points? Doesn't look good. So, and you see him trying to yell at guys on the sidelines, I don't know who's yelling at, the officials or his coaches or his players. Who's the guy that comes up and fixes his seat for him?
I saw that. I saw that guy. Yeah, he's doing a bit. It's like the get back coach. You know what I mean?
Gus could have just put his seat there. It wasn't that big of a deal. No, this has to be changed for next week. This is going to turn into a laughing stock thing. If we lose to UConn or the Cows and he's sitting up on a table like this, it's not going to be good for us.
It would have been funnier if he called like T-Will to sit next to him or something. You know what I mean? If like you look over and multiple coaches are sitting on his little table there, that'd have been funny.
Yeah, I guess. something's got to happen.
Yeah.
Here. This is too much.
Too much.
No more of this.
No more. No moss. Mike says no moss on that, Mike. All right, well, the theme for this cow of the week then is going to continue to be friendly fire because I said at the beginning of the show, we're calling out names this week, Mike. So my cow of the week this week, this is going to be blasphemous for some of you. I apologize in advance. My cow of the week is Dylan Gabriel. And you mentioned it earlier, Mike. He puts out this hype video that gets everybody all excited and thinks he's coming back and this is what he's going to do and yada, yada, yada. And he obviously doesn't come back and play. And now everyone's got all the speculation out there again. Why isn't he playing? You kind of said it earlier in between code there. This is an injury that you would have thought he'd be back from by now. We've gotten like zero update. All Gus tells us is that we hope to have him back by the end of the season. What are we doing, Dylan? Where are we? Why put up this video? What I understand it's social media. You just want to have some fun, maybe, and you just want to celebrate with your teammates. But why put the video out if for no other reason than are you just trolling UCF fans to try to get them excited or what the deal is? So I'm gonna go cow of the week for Dylan because I feel like we're all sitting in this like purgatory, wondering what's next with Dylan. Obviously, if you guys are out in social media, if you happen to have a Dungeon account, you're seeing all the different rumors out there about what his future may look like, and I think he's kind of stoking those flames a little bit. So to me, it felt a little bit like a troll job, Mike. Which I get. You're a kid, you want to have some fun. We are guilty of trolling a lot on our show here, but I'm gonna give Dylan the cow of the week this week.
I mean, not completely uncalled for. This maybe has something to do with NIL. Maybe he's trying to sell a couple extra T-shirts or something this week. I don't know. He hasn't played now in 7 weeks.
Yeah.
Don't get us all excited for nothing. If you're gonna put one of these videos out and you're throwing, and what was the caption that he put on there? I forget what it was, but we've gone through enough this year, and we don't need to be teased. Either come back or just be quiet. We're not in the mood for this crap right now, especially. And don't do it this week. We just got our asses kicked by 27 points. Don't come out this week and post a video about here we come or whatever it is, and then don't play. Right? If you're gonna post something, get out on the field.
The exact quote was, "If it run out of gas, go electric mode."
Yeah. Well, this team is out of gas right now. And if he's gonna come out and he's gonna post something, get out on the field and help us win. Blow UConn out. Give us some confidence and some swagger back going into that Cal game. Because right now, this whole fan base thinks we're going to lose to the freaking Cows, and I cannot stand for that. So let's go. Get back on the field. This is a 6 to 8 week injury. It's been over 8 weeks now, right? What's going on? Give us an update. Yeah. Somebody tell us what's going on. If he's not going to play against UConn, he's not going to play against the Cows, just tell us now.
Yeah.
Gus has been saying we're hopeful he's going to come back before the end of the year. The year is almost over. So let's get going with this thing already.
Well, it just continues. Yeah, it just continues to allow rumors to get sort of percolated. And I get every time somebody hears something and somebody knows somebody's mom who went to somebody's school who saw somebody outside who said they heard something about somebody. I understand all these things can be kind of foolish, but to your point, Auburn today, Gus is old school. Well, still not maybe it's not as applicable, but they just announced that Bo Nix broke his ankle in the game and he won't be playing for the rest of the year. Right? If you have a season-ending injury, then you know what? Maybe just let that be known. Announce that. Hey, Dylan's gonna be out for the rest of the year. We're gonna lose him. We're gonna rest him. He's gonna recover. He's had a setback. You're not fooling anybody, right? You know what I mean? Like if you weren't gonna fool SMU, then who we love? Are we fooling UConn? Is that what we're trying to do? I guess maybe you save it for the Cows. I guess I could see that argument, but it just felt like an unnecessary troll to put it out there, make it seem like he was coming back this week, and kind of get everyone excited. And again, he's a kid. Maybe he's just having some fun and want to celebrate with his teammates, whatever. But I read it as a troll job. I read it as, is he coming back to play? And then all of a sudden, no, he's not. So he's cow of the week. I didn't mean to get you fired up, buddy. You okay? You seem like you got fired up.
Yeah, I'm getting fired up. Their season's on the brink here. We're talking about maybe being a 500 ball club if we lose to these two teams that coming into the year we thought were guaranteed wins. And now I'm picking freaking UConn to cover 30 points, and everybody's scared of losing to the Cows. This is not where this season should be right now. We have no confidence coming off that disaster this past week against SMU. We don't need to be teased. We don't need anything but just come back and play. If you're going to play, You don't have to tell us you're going to play, but come back and do it. Don't tell us anything if you're not going to play. I don't know. This is just a generational thing. Am I just the old guy now yelling at the young kids, don't go on social media? I wish there was no Twitter and all this crap. I don't know. But
yeah,
enough is enough. Let's go. It's time to finish this season strong. We need 2 wins here, get to a decent bowl game and win that and build on it for next year.
Well, when Mike says enough is enough, that means enough is enough. And that'll be enough of episode 156 of the Sons of UCF. We will have a live show this week, Mike. You will not be here this week. You're going to be enjoying some much deserved time off with your family. And so Trace, myself, and maybe a special guest host. I don't really know what we're doing with that, Mike. I know there's no replacing you. But maybe we'll try to find someone to sit in that box on the top there. So either way, we will still be around on Thursday night. So don't forget about us, 8 p.m., Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Mike will be back in his usual spot here with us on the audio version next week. So Mike won't be gone from your lives too long. But have a fantastic week, my friend. Hope you guys enjoy your vacation and hopefully when you're in your descent down to Fort Lauderdale International Airport, you're doing so with a UCF victory over UConn.
That would be nice. I don't want to tell everybody where I'm going, but we're actually flying back to Miami. So,
okay.
Yeah.
But, are you afraid of stalkers?
Yeah.
What? You don't want to tell everyone where you're going? Are you afraid you're going to have people at the tarmac waiting for you? Is that what you're afraid of?
It's possible.
Okay.
I mean, the last vacation I went on the cruise, and there was a guy that came up to me and knew exactly who I was.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying I was scared, but you never know. You never know what people out there.
Okay, you never know. Fair enough.
I may run into some stalker, crazy vet stalking.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to the vacation. It's gonna be fun. You guys, I will miss you guys on Thursday. Maybe I'll jump in for 5 minutes. You never know.
Yep.
I'm out of the country, and I'll jump in there, and you'll see an really intoxicated UCF Mike by that time on Thursday night because I'll have been drinking all day. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Basketball team, couple big games this week, couple wins on the schedule. Football, let's get back to where we need to be, back in the win column. I picked UConn, but I really hope UCF covers 30. I hope we win by 100 points. Rivalry week. Let's go. Let's get things straightened out here.
All right, friends. Well, everyone have a fantastic week as well. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And again, make sure you subscribe to all of our social media stuff. Until next time, everybody, go Knights.
Charge on.